Hello and welcome to another episode of Trash Talk Podcast about Jalen the F Hollywood 6. How you doing?
I'm doing good, JJ. I want to say at the time of recording this, everybody, it is JJ's birthday. So happy birthday to you, JJ. Again, thank you for having me on, my friend.
No problem. Always a pleasure to have you. And today, we're answering a very important question. What is the best thing since sliced bread?
If someone were to just come up to you and just say, JJ, what is the best thing? And if you guys don't know the phrase, we're essentially asking, what's the best invention that you can think of, or some of the best inventions? So if someone just were to come up to you right now, JJ, hey, what's the best thing since sliced bread? What would you say?
It's a tough question because, invention is, very broad, right? Antibiotics?
That's a good one. Antibiotics is good.
Okay,
me and Smokey
First question that we probably should ask, you're also very out of focus right now. Oh, it's getting better. When was sliced bread invented?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Naturally, when you type in when was SLI, it already knows what you're gonna ask, which is great. Sliced bread was invented by Otto Frederick Rohwedder in 1928.
What?
That does not
fairly
sound right.
recent. That is recent, dude. Of course he's German. Sounds German.
Oh, okay. It specifically says sliced with a machine and packaged for convenience, as in pre-sliced bread.
Gotcha.
Because slicing bread, I get that there's if you look at the Bible, they were tearing bread. I'm sure there were people that were slicing it, but that was a common thing back then. But surely people would have sliced bread before 1928.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I guess before we even dive into the topic, we should ask the question, why is that even a phrase? Why do people say, hey, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread? Why sliced bread? I wonder where that even came from. What do you think?
Also, just for the record, he was from Iowa.
Iowa?
Davenport, Iowa. Yes.
Say this dude's name again.
Otto Frederick Rohwedder.
Cap. That dude was not from Iowa.
Otto Frederick Rohwedder.
Yeah, or the Germany you just wanted to pronounce his name like that. But no, but seriously, where do you think? Why is that the standard? Why is that a phrase? Where do you think that came from? Hey, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, the convenient Wikipedia article for sliced bread does say, by 1933, around 80% of bread sold in the US was pre-sliced, leading to the popular idiom, greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, how that led to the idiom, who's to say?
Yeah.
Greatest thing since sliced bread does have... Oh, it's a Wiktionary, okay. Etymology adapted from advertising slogan used in 1928 by the Chillicothe Baking Company, the first company to sell sliced bread, was as follows. The greatest... why can't I talk today? The greatest forward step in the baking industry since bread was wrapped was this.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So, well, let's. You say penicillin, antibiotics?
Yeah.
That's.
Now
God.
I'm thinking the timeline might not add up because I assumed sliced bread was older. Penicillin.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Oh, right. I'm still on Wiktionary. That's not going to be useful. Penicillin. Thank you. Is a group of discovery. The term penicillin is defined in the natural product penicillin, which the antibiotic activity. It was coined by Alexander Fleming on the 7th of March, 1929. Just a
year after.
Yeah.
1 year later. That's crazy. All right. Okay, sure. Honestly, see, that's the thing. It depends on what you call the greatest. Because, antibiotics definitely is a big thing that was invented. It helps many of people. Great thing. But then there's so many other things that you can think of that we take advantage for that you don't even think about. One thing that me and Smokey always say is, have you ever seen the movie Dogma?
I have not.
Okay, so it's a joke in the movie where it says, "Oh, the greatest sin is central air." And I know over in European countries, you guys don't really do air conditioning over there, but if you ask me, man, one of the greatest inventions ever is refrigeration and air conditioning. And the reason I say that is because I am, in the deep South in the United States, where it's literally 103 degrees outside right now. I mean, so when you walk into that house and you feel that cold air hit you, you're like, oh, it's nothing greater than that. I would throw that as a big one of the greatest inventions of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have the advantage that it is a lot of things, right? It's heat pumps, it's ACs, it's refrigeration, it's all the exact same technology. So
Plumbing.
related, but I mean, first of all, invented by the Romans, so definitely predates sliced bread.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, obviously heat pumps and their derivatives are super useful, especially because, like, heating wise, it is like the most energy efficient way to do heating. Cooling, it's basically the only way to do besides like literally driving in ice.
Yes, ice. That's
They
what I was
used
going
to
to say.
sell ice for your freezer. Like, you would just put a block of ice in there, and then you would refrigerate things with. Yeah, no. So it makes sense that refrigeration is definitely up there. I mean, I was gonna say the internet, but it's such a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, but when you say the internet, it's not really a necessity. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something
Neither
that
is AC.
It's not, but god dang, it feels very necessary when you're outside and it's 3,241 degrees outside. You walk inside, that's definitely a necessity. I know it's not, but if I had to pick, hey, would you like internet or would you like, air conditioning? I'm sorry, I'm taking air conditioning any day. Any day, man.
I mean, I guess I would have to pick internet because I'm using the internet right now, and I'm currently in a house that does not have air conditioning, so I guess if I said I would rather take air conditioning, I would be a hypocrite.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, let's think out of the box for a second. I mean, and that was a really good one you brought up with, penicillin. But like, I mean, dude, there's so many things that we take for granted. I mean, think about like a pen, a writing utensil, something to use to write. Like think about, see, again, man, I gotta remember, I'm talking to a German, but like the Declaration of Independence was written with a pen. You know what I mean? Without that pen, I'm sure they would have found a way to, jot these things down in our constitutional laws, but just something as simple as a pen, we take
they
for
might have
granted.
used feathers back then.
I just said that. Literally just said that. But sure.
Also, side note, right? If we are using 1928 as our cutoff, you can't bring up the Declaration of Independence, which came out like 150 years before that. But 250.
I mean, so okay, now you're saying that's our cutoff. So are we literally saying? No, I'm thinking of all time. I'm not thinking as of 1928 since sliced bread of all time. Well, I guess by the time. Go ahead.
To be fair, the modern ballpoint pen was 1938. So,
God dang. That's crazy, man.
Although apparently the original was from 1888, so
if with the title of the podcast being the greatest thing since sliced bread, yes, we could talk about that forever. But if we were to go, hold on, if we were to cut that date out and just say in mankind's history, some could argue the wheel.
Yeah, I was gonna say the wheel. I mean, basically simple machines, right? You have levers, you have the wheel, and there's like a couple other things. I think there's like a list of 5 things that count as simple machines. Simple machine is a mechanical device that changes the direction of a lever, wheel and axle, pulley, inclined plane, wedge, and screw. Are the 6 canonical simple machines.
I'm teaching that in school, actually. I remember that, yeah. I mean, oh my god, dude, you can do so much.
Inclined plane, because like the inclined plane, as the mention says, is it's just like, ever seen a slope in nature? Like, those happen. Like, it's not really an invention. Like, the other ones you have to actually build.
Yeah. I mean, dude, not only that, man, there's so much. Dang it, I had a really good one. It just slipped my mind. God, dude, there's so much, man. Dang it, I just completely forgot, dude. I'm sorry, go ahead. Hopefully it pops back in my head again.
I mean, I guess steam turbine, right? If you're talking about one thing that's very fundamental for the modern world, it's electricity. And how do we produce electricity? With steam, right? If you burn oil or gas or coal, that's just steam power. If you use nuclear fission, still steam power. They just use it to heat up water and then power steam turbine. Outside of water wheels, windmills, and solar panels, it's basically all steam power. Panels.
Yeah, man, that's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, electricity might be I mean, god dang, that might be a leader, a forefront in this conversation here, because without electricity, there's nothing. There is no refrigeration. There is no AC. There is no internet. There is no, hell, if you want to by this, I mean, I guess you could still no, you do need electricity to have a wheel on your car to go. So electricity might be the great. Well, I don't know if electricity is an invention. Wait.
Just that walk in the car.
Hey, you brought up incline planes. I mean, they're the opposite of that, where you can just roll down. But I will say though, think about it though. When it comes to electricity, I mean, god dang, what is up with my brain today?
It might literally
but no. What I was gonna say is, we really can't include electricity because electricity wasn't invented; it was discovered. You know.
I believe I did say steam turbine, not electricity. I just said that the steam turbine is the foundation behind most energy generation that we use today. So without a steam turbine, we wouldn't have electricity in the amounts that we do, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess water wheels were probably the first electricity source. I don't know that for a fact, but you would think. But, yeah.
Oh no, man. I mean, like your glasses right now. Someone had to invent that. Can you? How blind are you without your glasses?
Not very.
Really? Okay.
I'm supposed to wear glasses. I'm technically not allowed to drive without them, although I'm pretty sure I could.
Oh wow.
Like, it's not that bad.
Huh. So would you argue that you might just wear them more for a fashion statement, or is it specifically just for you?
So the way that I understand it is, if you need glasses and you don't wear them, your eyesight will also get worse. So even if I don't super acutely need them, it still would be best for me to just wear them.
Yeah.
And also, I've worn glasses since I was like 6, I think. So I'm very used to it at this point.
God, man, my brain is so stuck on when you said, penicillin and antibiotics, stuff like that, because, dude, a lot of things in the medical industry, vaccines, because think about like the Black Plague and polio and all these things that just wiped out, millions and millions of people. Whoever created that, or created the I guess cure or vaccine for those things, that you could make that argument as well, that might be one of the greatest things since sliced bread.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we have to make some distinctions again, right? Because like, can we say vaccines as a category, or do we have to like specify? Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I said antibiotics, which is also a category, right? Like penicillin is just, you mentioned it because it's the first one, but so yeah, I guess if vaccines as a group, sure, definitely. If we say, like, if we have to count every disease individually, then probably not as much, because there's probably no one disease where the vaccine like outweighs something like an antibiotic which kills all bacteria. But again, right, this is like a definition question that I don't think there's like a universal answer.
No,
whether or not we could count
there's
it.
not.
And if you say germ theory, then that's once again more in the discoverer than invented.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, man, it's God, we could go down the rabbit hole of saying, okay, hey, there were, things to help prevent these certain disease, and, to reduce the risk of people losing their lives when it comes to these diseases. But dude, we could go down the rabbit hole of like, why has no one invented a cure for cancer, a cure for AIDS? Like, if we've invented all these things, where's that at? And then you could go down the rabbit hole. Well, look, you make more money when you make more money treating something than actually curing it,
Yeah, although it is worth noting that a lot of the sort of fundamental research is also financed by governments and universities and not by individual pharma companies. So it wouldn't really be easily possible to block research into a field like that. And we are curing cancers all the time. The problem is that there are so many different types of cancers that express very differently, that affect different parts of the body, that have different characteristics that we can attack, and so something that will cure one kind of cancer will not cure another one. I've just heard recently about they were using radioactive materials to bind to like an enzyme that then attaches to cancer cells, which is like radiation therapy, but it directly targets the cells rather than having to like use much stronger radiation, it will also damage everything around it. But it only works on tumors that are very uniform, where everything has like the same kind of antigen that it can attach to. So if you have a tumor that's made of many different kinds of cells, it's just not going to work. And so it just depends on the kind of cancer.
Isn't it crazy how radiation is such a bad thing? And people are like, oh my God, that's highly radioactive. Stay away from it. But somehow we figured out a way to use something so bad for humans to eliminate something else that's so bad for humans. Like, God, that's a brain fuck right there, dude.
Yeah, but I mean that's most cancer treatments, right? Because radiation,
yeah,
and also
radiation,
chemotherapy, right? Like chemotherapy is also literally just poison, right? You just
yes, exactly.
But because cancer cells are human cells, it means that anything that damages human cells, which is bad, also damages cancer cells, which is good. And so sometimes you just have to do the thing where it's like, we have to kill the cancer cells before they can replicate. And if we happen to do some damage around the cancer, then that's too bad. But it's almost priority to kill the cancer.
Right. It's almost the lesser of the two evils. This is literally poison. However, it is going to, kill what's actually killing you. And then maybe we can reduce the amount of poison after the cancer's gone. That's crazy, man. And dang, I'd love to be a fly on the room or fly on the wall in the room of the person who said, you know what we should try? Radiation. Like, hold on, what? I thought y'all was just gonna get some tea and some bark and some elderberry and let's see how that works. Nope, we're gonna try radiation. Radiation.
I mean, to be fair, when radiation was first discovered, they thought it was gonna do all sorts of wonderful things, most of which it hasn't. There was a lot of. I mean, they were selling lipstick with radium paint in it and shit like that, which is not healthy. No. Obviously. But they didn't really know that at the time, right? There's obviously, uranium glass, right? Don't drink out of uranium glass. That is not healthy. You had a lot of radium used for clock faces, so they would glow in the dark, which is great, except it's also radioactive. And obviously, the women that would paint the clock faces, they would lick the brush to get it wet, and then they would paint on there. And let's just say that. That is how a lot of them found out the long-term effects of radiation exposure.
Yes, man.
Not pleasant.
Something else I was thinking about, man. One of the greatest inventions ever. I know they say they credit China for this, but paper, just paper. Yes. Without paper, without paper, there is no history. There is no Bible. There is no Quran. There is no Torah. There is no recipe for your mom's favorite biscuits. You know what I mean? That's what I went to the pen for earlier, because just the fact to be able to record something, yes, now we've gotten to the point where we can literally just talk to our phones. We're doing it via camera. I'm in America, you're in Germany. Of course, it's evolved, but just the original form of being able to record something, that's a pretty big one there, man.
I mean, first of all, I'm pretty sure the Torah and the Bible predate paper existing in that part of the world. I think they're using parchment and vellum and that sort of thing at the time. But
so hold on. Well, let me preface that. What I mean is something to write on.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay,
I was just gonna say, right? Pens and paper. I think what you're getting at is the written language, which is also
calligraphy,
right?
Yeah.
Because writing is not a natural thing. You can't say we discovered writing. We invented writing.
We invented yes.
And I mean, it seems fairly natural to do so, because I think writing was invented 5 different times individually, without previous knowledge of other writing. There are 5 different parts of the world where writing was individually invented. But we invented writing, and that I think is probably one of the biggest inventions.
That might be one of the biggest ones.
Whether we invented language is a bit more debatable, because our brains are wired for language, so it might be an evolutionary thing rather than an actual human creation. But written language is definitely a human invention.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, yeah, damn. This is deeper than what I thought it is, because my brain's going in 1,000 directions right now. And at the beginning, I was like, refrigeration, air conditioning. Then I was like, penicillin. And then I was like, well, electricity. Well, the pen. Paper. You know what? Language or just being able to write. That might be it, man. Because without being able to write, there is there is no way to give it to the future. You know what I mean?
I mean, there is oral tradition, right? Like, just you tell your kids everything you know, and they tell their kids, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, but that's the game. That's the game of telephone, though. You tell 50 kids, "Hey, spaghetti ate my homework." Eventually, it's going to be at that last kid. Hey, Bigfoot used to twerk. You know what I mean? It could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but oral traditions were how people passed down information before they had writing. And, I mean, in different parts of the world, obviously, the writing was introduced at different times in the history. But, I mean, even you mentioned the Bible. I think the first written records of the Bible, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, I think were like around like 500 after, so that would be, AD. I think was when they first started writing down the Bible. Before then, those stories were just passed on. I might be getting that wrong slightly, but definitely, like, the biblical writings were not written. The New Testament definitely wasn't written by people that were there when Jesus was alive, and the Old Testament was, I believe, written even later after the stories took place. So oral tradition does work, because you're not just telling one person, right? You have like the town elder, like, sitting in front of everyone, regaling them with the stories they know, and then everyone collectively has that information. And so the game of telephone thing, I think, is in some ways less prone. Although, of course, those stories do change, right? We have written records of biblical stories in different versions, where some details are different. Yeah. Because even in the early written versions, sometimes people will be like, well, yeah, but wouldn't it make more sense if it was like this? And they would just change it.
Exactly. Or not only that, some people like to exaggerate things. Like, the original story might be like, oh, man, she took 3 drops of water and, poured it into this, or she took let's take tea. She took 3 tea leaves, chopped them up, put them inside water, and it was the most delicious beverage I've ever had in my life. And then someone's like, oh, I need to exaggerate it. She took 1 tea leaf. You know what I mean? You know how people are, man.
Yeah, I mean, there are literally 4 different gospels that are more or less telling the same story.
Yeah?
And they are based on different previous writings. I mean, there's a whole analysis there of how there was, like, probably like 2 or 3 sources that would then combine the different ways into the Gospels. I think the latest one, which I think is Luke, was like basically just derived from the previous ones, where the other ones had like other primary sources, presumably. But yeah, no, I mean, like, literally, like, those stories get changed over time, and so obviously if you don't have a written version, it is, I would assume, more prone to changing, because you don't have something to refer back to.
Let me ask you this. Me and you aren't the most religious people, but do you think I'm sure there is people, but do you think if we were to have this conversation with someone, who is a very religious person, do you think there would be someone out there that would say, hey, religion is the greatest thing invented by man?
I don't think so.
You don't think? I mean, of course, there has to be one, dude.
Well, okay,
because hold on. One could argue if they did say religion is the greatest. Think about it. Religion brings law. Religion brings order. Religion gives you a way to live. It's like, hey, the reason we live our life is because someone invented this religion. So you could make that.
I mean, okay, obviously there's 8 billion people on Earth. You can't definitively say that no one will make this argument. However, I would argue that most people that think religion is very important do not believe it to be a human invention. If you believe there's literally a God that literally told you, like, the important things, you wouldn't say that we invented religion, you would say that God gave us religion. And if you believe that, then you wouldn't say it's a human invention. And the people that would think there's human invention probably don't think it's as important because they don't believe in it.
Right, but then would you say religion is something that is discovered? Because you can't. No, it goes back to what you were saying. No, not you, but the person who believes that, religion is the greatest thing invented. It taught me how to live my life. It taught me how to treat my neighbor. It taught me how to not steal. It taught me how to. And then you could argue, yes, that your morality, that you just feel all that in you, But some people would say like, hey, like we were talking about, when just with the language, early history was just spoken through, words, and then the next generation would say, hey, my grandfather told me this, my grandfather told me this. So eventually, or at the beginning, maybe someone started, it was like, hey, God came down and wrote it down, like I said, on a piece of paper, and that religion could be called an invention. Some people would look at it like that, man.
Yeah, again, I would assume that most people that find religion important would also be the same people that wouldn't consider it invented. But at some point, that's also a semantic thing, right? Like,
how could it not be invented?
Was it discovered? Well, not invented by a human, at least, right?
Well, all right, how could you discover? Give me an example of how you could discover religion. I wouldn't even. I don't even know if I would call it discovery,
but like, if you truly believe that God, like, gave people the religious knowledge, right? Like, God gave us the Bible. He wrote down, like, what to do and what to believe.
God didn't write the Bible. People wrote the Bible.
Not personally, but some people do believe that the Bible was divinely inspired, right? That God basically told them what to write. And if that, and even if you believe in the prophets and like you believe that God revealed divine knowledge to humans, then it would definitely not be human invention. It probably wouldn't even be human discovery, because I feel like discovery implies that you had sort of an active role in it. Or, I mean, there are accidental discoveries, but it's almost like it was granted to us, right? It was given to us. I think would be how I would assume religious people would describe that.
I don't know, man. We'll have to get someone who's very religious and, into theology that's, like, hey, would you consider this a discovery, or would you...
You got any contacts in Chicago?
To what?
You got any contacts in Chicago?
No.
You got anyone that's got a line to the Pope?
No, I don't. Listen, before we hop off of this subject and move on, going back to the original topic, JJ, I want to ask you, and I know you're just give me, what are your top? I'll give you my top 3. I want to know, what are your top 3 inventions since 1928 sliced bread? Give me your top 3. Yours.
Specifically since sliced bread. Okay. Given that we didn't talk about them, okay. I mean, I would have to say antibiotics and the internet I mentioned explicitly, so they would probably have to be in there as well. And then I guess the third one, since boy, that is tough. I mean, when were vaccines invented? Because I think medicine is generally like one of those things that is a bit underrated. Or I mean, I guess we could go for industrial fertilizer. I think a lot of like modern industrial fertilizers were also invented sort of more in the 30s and 40s.
Okay, all right. I was actually going to say, something to fertilize, but I'll go with refrigeration. I guess that'll be 2 things. So I'll go with I'll separate it. I'll go with refrigeration. I'll go with air conditioning, and that third one, man, I might have to ride with you on just medicine. I can't just say antibiotics, but just medicine. You know what I mean? Like, medicine predates bread, so penicillin.
Yeah, that's always a problem. So apparently, like so just glancing at this, it seems like 10s and 20s is when a lot of the modern fertilization techniques. So like we might have just about been before sliced bread there. But yeah, no, it is. Oh, wait. So asking what is the most important invention in sliced bread is basically asking what is the most important invention of the last 100 years. It's almost the same question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
basically.
Point, but yeah, that's an interesting thing.
All right, man. You're looking off as if like, God dang it, this is deeper than what I thought it was gonna be.
No, I like obviously I said 1928 like right at the beginning, but it never really occurred to me that that's pretty much exactly 100 years, which is another way that people would obviously like ask questions like, what's the most important invention from this century or like the preceding century?
That is crazy. I have damn it, she's dead now. But my great grandmama would have been old. My grandma? No, my okay, because I had a grandma that lived to 102 or 103, and she died like 4 years ago. But that means she was alive before
they started selling sliced bread.
Before sliced bread. That's crazy, man.
I mean, I will say, given that this is the etymology, it makes sense, but saying that sliced bread was invented 100 years ago is, I think, a little misleading, because I'm pretty sure people were slicing bread before that. It's just that pre-sliced packaged bread is like came to market about 100 years ago.
Yeah, because like you had mentioned, I'm sure, people were just ripping pieces off, and scooping up stuff with it. It's just when it was pre-packaged and sold to the people.
Yeah. 80% of... I mean, that explains a lot. In Germany, it is very common to buy your bread at a bakery. And they will have like an industrial bread slicing machine there. And so you might buy it and they'll slice it right there and there. But actually pre-packaged, you generally wouldn't buy as much. I mean, it is definitely you can buy toast in supermarkets. We call it toast. But regular bakery bread is normally not sliced.
It's usually...
that would be the majority in Germany, I would think.
Yeah, I remember that too. Going to Sweden, you could buy it, but the bakeries, it was usually baked fresh daily, that's how it was back then.
So I think Americans and Europeans do bread very differently.
Oh, 100%. Dude, I've noticed we do bread differently. We do sugar differently. We do gas differently. We do a lot. I mean, numbers, the metric system, the imperial system. We do a lot of things different.
Okay, I do have to ask, what about gas? What was the difference about gas? Europe versus America?
Well, I guess it would go towards the unit of measurement, like you guys, we do it in gallons. Even in Mexico, I was like, wait, y'all sell it in what, pints or liters? Liters, I think, actually. Yeah. Which I believe you guys do like that too.
Yeah, because everywhere in the world does it except for the US.
Hey,
I'm pretty sure
we're
Canada
just
does
different.
it in liters. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Canada does it in liters.
America's just different, man. We want to be it's so crazy. In Europe, you've got different countries. You got in Africa, you got different countries. But when you go to the United States, we've got states. Why we got to be different? Why can't Texas be a country? Why can't Georgia be a country? Why can't
the Texans have been asking that question for a while?
I know. And technically, they can be if they wanted to. From what I've
actually that is highly debated. But yeah, I guess speaking of, what about some facts of the week? So, what is your fact of the week?
All right, man. Over at the Trash Talker Studios here, we listen to a lot of music. So I was like, man, let me just see if I could find some interesting facts just about sound waves. And I found quite a few. And I know we try to narrow it down, or we narrow it down to just one. But man, this is one that really got me. First of all, there's a lot of interesting facts about sound waves. But did you know that sound can be used to put out fires?
I'm not sure if I have seen that, but it makes sense.
I'm not even going to read this. I would like to know, how does that make sense? Well, how could you use this sound to put out fire?
Well, sound moves the air, right? And I mean, if it disturbs it in a way where the flame can... I mean, it makes sense, right? You can use air, if you put a lot of air on a fire, it would also at least go down a lot. So it makes sense that sound would do the same thing, I think, without giving extra oxygen.
Exactly. I get where you're going, but that's what I was going to say. Air also ignite. I mean, you have to have air to have fire. So I found this one interesting, but I mean, because
you blow out candles, right? So it's just that at a bigger scale. You would think.
Yes, but it says so. Sound as a form of energy can interact with its surroundings in surprising ways. One of the most intriguing applications of sound energy is its ability to extinguish flames. Though it might seem like a concept straight out of science fiction, researchers have successfully demonstrated that sound waves can be used to put out massive fires. That blew my mind. And yes, I thought the same thing you did. Well, when I'm in a car and a dude's got a bunch of speakers, you can feel that air hitting it. But it's like when they said it can put out massive fires, I'd love to see somebody go to a burning house and just play Bohemian Rhapsody. That'd be awesome, dude. That'd be awesome. Awesome.
I would assume there's probably frequencies that are optimal, and you probably can't make good music out of it. But I would actually like it if it was actually good music too.
It was a joke. Yes, of course it needs to be a certain frequency. I was just making a joke.
You can't play Bohemian Rhapsody. You'd obviously have to make something that resonates with a fire. We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel.
Oh, great. or we don't need no fire, we don't need no water, let that motherfucker burn. That'd be hard.
It sounds counterproductive, but okay.
Yeah, counterproductive though. But you get where I'm going there. You get where I'm going.
Yeah.
What's your fact of the week?
So there was a program in Australian schools where they tried reducing teen pregnancies by giving girls realistic dolls that would simulate being a baby, right? I mean, there's the stereotypical like egg thing, but these ones were.
We did that. We did that. They did that here in high school.
Okay, but in this case, they did it like for a study to see how good the effect actually was, right? So it's not just about learning to take care of a baby. They were trying to see if teenage pregnancies would go down in the group that had to take care of the babies, right? So they had, I think, 3,000 students. They divided them into a control group that didn't get the babies and a group that did take the babies. And guess what? Teenage pregnancy rates increased in the ones that got the babies. And the rates of abortion were lower. So actually, kids were like, hey,
it made them want it.
Maybe this is a good idea after all. So it actually backfired, and so they don't want to do that anymore. But yeah,
dude, that is so crazy. You say that, bro. Because, man, I completely forgot about that. They used to do. Did they do that over there?
No.
Well, dude, I think it was in home ec that they would take a select amount of girls, and they had these doll babies, and it was literally they would give the doll baby to the girls who would want to participate, and they would give it to them like on a Monday, and they say, all right, we're going to get this baby back on a Friday, and they would measure, okay, this scar wasn't here, and the baby would cry at certain times, and you would have to feed it like an imaginary or a bottle that would like cut off a sensor or something when you put it in its mouth. It's like, okay, well, you didn't take care of this baby as well as you should have. So that is, dude, you just unlocked a piece of my childhood that I completely forgot about. I got to remember to bring that up, man. Yes, that was a thing. I remember like girls would walk around school like, yeah, this is my home ec baby, and they'd have to take them home and stuff like that. That's crazy, man. What are you over there researching?
I was trying to see if the article actually mentioned for how long they had them, but I don't find it right offhand. But yeah, no, the fact is that the pregnancy rates actually increased for the group that took care of the babies.
And in a way, I can kind of see how, because baby fever is a real thing, and if you're an adolescent girl, you got all these hormones going, and you did get this little baby in your home ec class, and you're like, well, I've devoted an entire week to this baby, and I got an A on this particular test that they did, and I fed this baby, and I had to wake up at 3:00 in the morning on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday to put it back to sleep to get an A. So it's like, God dang it, I kind of want a kid now, you know what I mean? So I could see how it would backfire. Yeah. That's interesting.
The pregnancy rate in the group with the babies was 17%, where it was 11% that had teenage pregnancies in the control group. And out of the ones that got pregnant, the 53.8% had abortions, whereas it was 60.1% in the control group. So they were both more likely to get pregnant and more likely to keep the child.
Mm-hmm. Right. Wow, that is interesting, dude. Man, you just... I'm going to have to bring that up, man. That's interesting.
It's weird because I feel like it's such a trope, and I think we talked about, I don't know if it was you or Smokey, but we talked about it recently, where like a lot of things that seem like tropes from American TV shows are just like things that actually happen in America.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I have seen a lot of shows where, I mean, usually it's like an egg or something, but like sometimes it's dolls. Like you have to take care of this thing for a week. And it's like,
yeah.
Like to me, this was always like a trope I saw on American television shows. I had no idea that I had later like found out that they actually did it, but I had just assumed that was like a thing that shows sometimes did, but no, like actual real schools in America do that.
Yes,
I've never heard
that
that
is a
happening
fact.
over here.
Yes, and actually I think towards later when they were getting rid of it, I think it did go away from a baby doll to an egg, actually. Damn, dude. I'm excited when we get off this podcast. I'm excited to call some of my friends and be like, do you remember those girls that would walk around school with those baby dolls because of home ec? I'm excited to bring that one back up. That's awesome. It's crazy they don't. Actually, you know what? You just told me why. It increased. So I was going to say it's crazy they don't do that now, but it increased,
Yeah.
But I did hear a statistic that American teenagers are not, a lot less than we were when we were younger.
That is actually not that surprising. Which I guess brings us to the halftime show, which, as per usual, is Hurdle Decades. And I think we're going to once again do the number one songs.
Let's do it.
We're actually going to start, given my fact of the week, with Australia.
Oh, God.
I still don't think they're going to be that different than the American number ones.
I got it. Land Down Under. That's it. I got it.
I believe the song is just called Down Under, but...
How crazy would it have
what love is?
Love is. I want to know what show me. Yes. I want to know what love... Is that George Michael's? I want to know.
I don't know, George.
Want you to know. We both know that.
No, it's not George Michael. Yeah, but like, is it just I Want to Know What Love Is? Is that the title?
I believe so, actually.
I Want to Know What Love Is, Foreigner.
Is it Sting? Oh, okay, Foreigner. That's it. I want to know. Yes.
See,
that was easy.
I told you. It's just because Australia doesn't mean it's hard. I did those with Smokey last week, and I think we got all of them. Like, all of the decade number ones, all the country number ones, we got all of them. Let's do UK next, because that's also further from where you are.
Okay.
Okay, I don't actually recognize that one right away.
Is that I Wanna Rock Down to Electric Avenue? We can make it higher. That's not it, is it?
I mean, I don't know what the song's called that you're talking about, but unless it's called something else than Electric Avenue, it's not it. But
yeah, okay.
If it is called Electric Avenue, it's not it. If it's called something else, it might be.
I don't think it is. That's just the first thing that popped in my head when I heard that.
Skip, and...
I got nothing, bro. Nothing.
Me neither.
Nada.
This is... I was just like, hey, like, these are easy. It's no problem at all. I was like, I have no idea what this is. It really feels like there was nothing new in that segment.
Yeah, that was literally just a loop, dude. I have nothing. Call me good. Call me, bro. I would love to be able to help. I've got nothing. I knew it. Call Me, maybe? No.
No, it's not "Call Me" by Blondie.
No. Oh no. I mean, I can't see what you're typing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I said "Call Me." I typed in, and then it said "Call Me" by Blondie and "Call on Me" by Eric Prydz, which is like another one of those where he remixed "Valerie" by Steve Winwood and made it worse.
Yeah.
I see nothing on here that with "Call Me" that would make sense. I'm Your Man by Wham! It's George Michael this time!
George Michael this time. Damn it. That is right. It wasn't Wham.
You pulled the trigger too early on saying George Michael.
I did. God dang it. I would have never got that, though. Never.
Yeah, no, me neither. Canada.
Oh,
Painted Black.
on. Yes, Painted Black.
Rolling Stones.
Painted Black. Great song.
Love that song. Love Me the Stones.
Yeah, that's easy. That was too easy. Painted Black.
Yeah,
great
also
song,
like,
too.
Very distinct as well, right? Like sometimes the song was great, but like you still wouldn't be able to tell what it is from the first 2 seconds. But this one, like instantly.
You know it, yeah.
US number ones.
Okay. Oh God, no clue.
No, I know this one.
Uh-oh.
Ah.
What you got?
Somehow my brain is stuck on basically the next segment of this. The thing is,
Oh,
I
wait,
think
is
if
it-
we skip once or twice, you will know this. Like, it's not
Wait a
actually.
minute.
If it is,
Can
what
we
it
get
is.
one? Can we get one skip? Because I'm thinking of a song too, but I don't think it's. Let's see. No, it's not. It's not what I was thinking.
I think I now know what the song is that I was thinking of. I was thinking of "Sympathy for the Devil," but I'm not sure if that is it. Now that because I don't think it goes on for that long, does it?
I don't believe so. I mean, hell, it's worth the try. Go for it.
Unless I'm bad at typing, it's not even in there.
It's not okay. Let's see what our skip
I
sounds
think
like.
I think that's where my mind went. So that if it's not that, then I probably don't know it either.
Oh, burn, burn. Come on, bro. What's the name of that song? Burn. Bro, everybody on Earth knows that.
I know what you're saying. Like I don't know the title or artist though. Like I can't actually help you with that, despite the fact that yes, what you're doing there is very familiar to me.
Damn it.
Wait, are you sure that is it even? Because I
I
just had another
guarantee.
idea. I just had another
what do
idea.
you think?
Could it be walking
What do
like
you
an Egyptian?
Oh. Man, let's go for a skip. Oh, okay. Let's see.
What is it? Is it walk like an Egyptian? I think it's walk, not walking, right? Walk like an Egyptian. The Bangles.
Oh, you got it. Good job. Oh, damn. I was way off then.
Weirdly enough, I think that is like I had that drop in my head, and I think my brain just completely went a different direction when somehow Sympathy for the Devil came up, because like that has nothing to do with this. Like, but like the actual like, oh god, I should have gotten this on the first thing. I'm almost mad at myself for not getting it sooner, despite the fact that like that's not a bad performance.
Let me ask you this: when it first played the first one, did this song pop in your head?
Like again, it popped into my head up until right about the point where the third segment ended. And somehow my brain could not figure out how that song went after that. It's like, I know the song. Like, I know, like, when the actual instruments come in, besides the shaking tambourine or whatever the fuck they were doing there. It's probably not. It's probably, like, anyways. Like, and then, like, I couldn't figure it out. And then somehow, again, I ended up on Sympathy for the Devil, which is not at all like this.
No.
Like, I don't know where that came from. Anyways, so 70s number ones. Let's see if that should also be somewhat easy, you would hope.
Starry, starry night.
Well, actually,
come on, bro.
Okay, listen. Here's a challenge
minute.
then. Give me the title or artist for the song.
The Beatles, right?
No.
Starry Night. I thought that was the Beatles.
Okay, well, you can also give me the title. That would also work.
Oh, it's definitely not Starry Night, I would assume, the way that you're leading me on. God damn, I know the song. Is it not the Beatles? Who is that?
I think I want to say it's Don McLean.
Oh, hell. Well, you
The,
already got me.
the song
then.
is called Vincent.
Really? I know the song.
It's about Vincent van Gogh.
Vincent Van Gogh.
Vincent. Don McLean.
There. Okay.
Starry, starry night.
Paint
Damn,
the
oh.
palette blue and gray. Look
I
out
don't
on
know
the
that song.
summer's day. Without
Maybe if I heard
know
the
the darkness in my soul, shadows
Sang
on
it.
the hill.
Sang it.
Touch the trees and the daffodils.
Sang it, JJ.
Something on the river shows. I don't fully remember the lyrics, but yeah, no. I mean, Starry Starry Night is a painting by Vincent van Gogh. And so like
Yes, that's one of my favorite paintings. Actually, if I were to walk this way, I could grab you that painting right now.
the original. It's actually been in
No,
your
not
studio the
the-
whole time.
No, not the original. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm joking. But yeah, no. So it is basically describing his art, but the song's called
Yeah.
Vincent. By the fact that they never actually, I don't think they ever mentioned his name once in the song, or he never. So it's like it's a bit weird that that's the title. But yeah, so that's why it's actually like, despite the fact that everyone knows that song, it's actually kind of hard to guess that because you
Yeah.
can't put just in Starry Starry Night.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, it's the 80s now, and we have more number one songs.
What?
Well, that sounds like half of
Every
all
80
songs.
half of all damn 80 songs. Yes, 100%. Don't. Is this Michael Jackson? Don't.
I mean, we
It's
have enough
the-
Michael Jackson options.
Look, what's this? What's this? You make me feel good. It's the one where he's on like the roller coaster with bubbles. Dun, dun.
We've got Bad, which I don't think
No.
it is. We have Beat It, which it isn't. We have Dirty Diana. We have Billie Jean.
No.
We have Rock With You. We have Man in the Mirror.
No.
One Day in Your
No.
Life. The Way You Make
No.
Me Feel.
The way you make me feel. Keep going.
Say, Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. I don't think that's it. I Just Can't Stop Loving You. Michael Jackson and... What does it say? Is it Irish? I don't fucking know.
Dude, this might be The Way You Make Me Feel.
It was.
I thought so.
Yeah. I think it's actually very impressive that you got it that quickly. Because, like, of course, once song starts playing, it's easier at the very least. I'm not sure that I would have gotten it. But, like,
Yeah.
with, like, 5 seconds more, I don't think it's nearly as hard. But
Oh,
where
yeah.
you were. And then, last but not least, the 90s. Well, actually, we'll see if it's least.
Oh yeah, this is God dang it! Run that back one time. That's fuck. Not Kiss Me. It's run it back one more time. So is it Kiss Me? Just type Kiss Me.
I'm not sure if that's
Kiss
the title of that
me.
song. That's the thing. Is it? Is it called
Kiss me. I love the da na 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 da 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 na 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 na.
A silver moon sparkling, so kiss me. Yeah, no, I guess it would be called Kiss Me. But it's not it, and that might be from the 2000s. I was just gonna say, this sounds like a lot of those, like, you know, like singer-songwriter guy with a guitar from, like, the late 90s, early 2000s. I mostly associate with the early to mid-2000s, honestly. Like your James Blunt types, you know, like...
Yeah.
Like those kind
I
of...
will say we both know this song. Let's go first skip, but we both know this song.
It's very likely.
I need more.
Now it sounds less familiar.
I know, the more it plays, it sounds less familiar now. Shit, I'm lost, broski. Nada.
I got nothing.
Oh, now I'm definitely confused. Now I'm
Starting to think it's more your kind of music than my kind of music.
I'm definitely confused now, man.
I'm just waiting for
have
someone to
no
start
idea.
rapping over this.
Yeah, I doubt it, but
It's the 90s. This is like one of those like R&B with like a hip hop verse or something with like someone rapping over the middle of it somewhere. I'm sure of it.
I'm so upset because the second you hit the next, I'm gonna know who it is. I'm gonna know who this is.
This is it, right? Like we don't get any more.
I know, but I feel like the second I see it, I'm gonna know who this is. Who is it?
Mama by the Spice Girls.
Bro, I was about to say the Spice Girls. On my mama's life, I was about to say the Spice Girls. I swear, dude, I was a big Spice. I swear I was gonna say Spice Girls on my mama's life. God, damn
Well,
it, dude! I was a huge Spice Girls fan back in the day. Huge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just I'm just gonna go with the obvious excuse of I probably wasn't alive when that song came out. But
Probably.
I mean, it's 90s number one, right? Like, I mean,
God,
I can double check. Mama.
Man, I feel like that was on
bands, music, album, songs.
Was it on Spice World? The name of the song album was called Spice World.
No, it's from the album Spice.
Spice, yes, great song, man. Or great album, dude.
Released. Okay, so the single release was on the 3rd of
98.
March, 1997.
97, okay. I knew it was 97, 98. Damn, bro, that brought back memories right there.
And the album, I believe, was released in 96, if I'm interpreting this correctly. Yes, the album released 96. So yes, it was before my time, which I'm definitely going to use as a defense, despite the fact that I definitely was better at 70s and 80s.
Yeah. I mean, hey, man, that's so crazy because my head, I'm like, is this Spice Girls? But it just didn't. It didn't come out of my mouth. But I was definitely thinking Spice Girls, man.
Well, I guess that brings us to our second topic. Bring out the cards.
Bring out the cards, and the cards have been bought out, my friend. JJ, tell me when.
Stop. And then he's gonna say, "Nah, we're not gonna do this one."
You know what? Let's. All right. If you could travel the galaxies for the rest of your life, but never return to Earth, would you go?
Oh. I'm tempted to say no, but I think it depends in large part also on how the travel works, right? If I was like on something like the Enterprise, I might be much more prone to doing that than if I was on like, a modern rocket ship, which is like very crammed.
Yeah, I mean, so it says if you could travel the galaxies for the rest of your life, but never return to Earth, would you go? And you would say, so what is your definitive answer?
I guess if I have to choose, I'm going to say no, because very likely you're not going to encounter anything like super interesting, like scientifically very interesting, but like,
yeah,
there is no life anywhere that we can send a spaceship. Otherwise, we probably no intelligent life that is at least as advanced as us, because otherwise we would have probably already like noticed them. So it's not that exciting.
I agree, and not only that, but it's like you said, the galaxies are so huge, and from what we haven't detected anything. So I would agree with you on this one. No, I wouldn't want to do that. Not only that, but I mean, I want to see my friends, my family, on Earth. I want to.
Yes, I mean, if we're saying like we're going like Star Trek or Star Wars or something like that, right? And there's like the galaxy's teeming with life. Then sure, right? Like I would totally be interested in like doing like the first contacts and that. I mean, it's very dicey, and I'm not a diplomat, but exactly, live long and prosper. But like realistically, no, because there probably is nothing to be encountered there. Again, from like a scientific standpoint, very interesting. I'm not enough of an expert to actually be able to like profit from that. Like hearing about those discoveries, cool. Being able to help in those discoveries, I mean, I guess you would learn over time, but I don't think that's interesting enough to me personally to like give up my life on Earth.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree with you, man. It sounds cool. It sounds interesting. I'd love to see it, but never return back to my home planet. Nah, I'm good. I'll pass on it. I'll pass. All right, so there's always two questions on this card. Let me see what the other one is. I would love to ask you this question, and especially with it being your birthday, I guess I cannot ask you this question because you weren't around when this happened. And I'll just let your mind wonder on what that is, and while I put that back into this deck of cards.
It's like, where were you when JFK was assassinated?
No, it wasn't that, but it was interesting. All right, let's go with this one. All right, I just know the type of person you are. I'm gonna ask, but I just know that. Okay, who has been there for you? Who has always been there for you?
My parents.
And that's it. That's all I'm gonna get out of you. That's what I'm saying.
What do you want?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, I know you. I know I'm going to get a simple answer when it comes to these type of questions. And I could elaborate. Yes, I'm going to say the same thing. Somebody who's always been there for her is my mom. She's always been there. And I could go on and on and on because I am that type of person when I can talk about these type of things and why she's been there and when she's been there and the time when she wasn't there for me but wanted to be there for me but chose not to be there because it was for my own good. I could talk about these things. But for you, your simple answer is my parents.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's worth noting here that I've had like a very simple and ultimately, sort of for these purposes, relatively boring life, right? Like I'm in college right now. I still live with my parents, so like, and that is the way in which they are supporting me. I can still live here. My parents are helping actually pay for college, despite the fact that it's obviously super cheap compared to America. But that is like a very concrete way in which they supported me. Right, they have gotten me cars to drive, so like I am very much supported. But at the same time, there's no like one particular like interesting instance where like, oh, like everything went to shit and like I really needed someone to lean on. Right, it's more sort of like in sort of this like fundamental way, in which like, yes, I have a lot of stability in my life. Right, I have a lot that I can rely on, and that obviously is allowing me to like live life the way I want. Right, like it's allowing me to go to college. It's allowing me to like not have to work while going to college, so that also gives me then time to do things like this on the side. But again, there's not like one concrete instance that I could point to where there's like a really like traumatic event and then they were there to support me, because I just haven't had anything like that. So I don't know what really to say about this.
And I get it. It's your upbringing, you know, and your lifestyle as well. Because with my lifestyle growing up, dude, I was out there. And there was a time where I literally hit rock bottom, and it was like, either I'm going to end it myself, or you guys are going to have to put me in jail. And it was like, you know what? I got you. So I'd agree with you, my mom. Now let's see what the other question is on here. This one, I know you, and I will ask you this question. How judgmental are you?
I would like to think less than the average person.
Be honest. Be 100% honest.
I mean, I would like to think less than the average person. I mean, it's hard to say, obviously, because it's hard to know how other people think. It also probably depends on what, right? Like, people judge people by different things. And I think there are a lot of things I'm less judgmental about. There are probably some that I'm more judgmental about. I can't think of any in the latter category right now, but it's one of those blind spots where you don't really ask yourself, am I being too judgmental that often either? So like, I don't think I'm very judgmental, but at the same time, I never really questioned, am I being too judgmental? So I might be, which is obviously like hard to say for sure. But I would say that I'm not that judgmental. I very much have the sort of belief of like, you know, live and let live. You know, if it's not, if what you're doing isn't harming you or anyone else, especially anyone else, like people that are having self-destructive behaviors, is like, you probably want to get them out of it, especially if they're people that you're like close to in some ways. But at the same time, like, especially if they're not harming anyone else, it's really none of my business.
Yeah, and okay, I asked you to be completely honest because let's be honest, we all are somewhat judgmental. Yeah,
I mean, of course, none of us are without judgment. Right.
Exactly. We're all somewhat judgmental. But I agree with you. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, I don't care what you do. You know, I don't judge you for your creed, your color, your race, your sexual preference, your whatever. If you want to be whatever your gender is, I don't judge you. If you're a good person at heart, you're not hurting anybody, I F with you. You know, you're not hating on somebody. You're not trying to bring somebody down. But not only that, now I'll give you a prime example. Another reason why I said be completely honest. I'm very candid about my addiction days, you know, and my drug of choice was painkillers, you know, pills, syrup, stuff like that. And I will never forget. It was I had a friend that would indulge in those substances with me, and we were, you know, just chilling at the house, and this person pulls out a baggie of a white substance, you know, and I have never seen it before. I've never done it before. I've never tried it. And they're like, look, man, don't judge me. And at that time, I'm like, dude, I'm just as much as a junkie as you are. I don't give a fuck what you do. Because like, don't judge me. I'm like, dude, you're not forcing anybody to do it with you. If you want to do it, I don't give a fuck. Go enjoy yourself. But that's a big thing with me. It's just, if you're a nice person, you're not hurting anybody, I don't care what you do, you know? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously it's also a question of like how do we define judge, right? Because I think when we see someone, we immediately like have sort of a picture of who they are to a degree.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not very complete, but you can tell, right? Like if someone has like like tattered clothes and poor hygiene, you probably might think that they're homeless or something, right? Like that is like a very immediate thing that you could think. And obviously, if someone has like a fancy suit or something, you're probably going to think they're well off. But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like no one is immune to that, and to some degree, those are useful heuristics because not always, but often those turn out to be true. A lot of those sort of things. But I think there's sometimes also this tendency to think that certain people that are maybe a little too well put together, that like we're like, oh, like for some reason that tends to apply especially to women, I think, where it's like, oh, like you are dolling yourself up, so you must be stupid. It's like, actually, turns out not always the case, but there is sort of that knee-jerk reaction where you think that, right? And so I think, like, none of us are immune to that. I think I'm a little bit aware of some of those stereotypes, at least, where it's like, oh, no, that's just what I'm thinking, like, as like a sort of a cultural shortcut, but that doesn't have to be true, right? Like some intelligent girls just like to like dress up fancy and like, and that's fine, right? Like, that exists. And
man, there's a phrase going through my head. I don't know if it was Morgan Freeman or some prominent black actor. I don't know, but it says you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. However, it's okay to read the first page. And I kind of understand that a little bit. It's like you don't judge a book by its cover, but it's okay to read the first page. You know what I mean? I can kind of see where they're coming from. Go ahead.
I don't love that expression because what do you think book covers are for?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, dude. There's a lot of book covers that look extremely bland, but when you read that first page, you're like, oh, dang, this is a great book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying if you're like in a store, right, and you're picking out a book, I usually I look at the covers and I look opposite the title, which is on the cover, and then I usually read the text on the back, and then I'll have to make the decision. Which I don't have the time to read the first chapter of every book or something. I mean, yeah, even the first page is quite a bit, right? Like you can't just read every book. You look at the ones that look interesting, and then those you read the text on the back, and then you pick out one to buy, right?
Right. Well, look at it. I'll use Kanye West as a good example. He had an album cover where it was literally just a CD. It was no font. It was just a CD, and if you look at it, it's like, okay, well, no name, no artist title, no name of the album. It's just a CD. Does that not intrigue you a little bit? Wait,
right? But you see that like a music store or like an electronics store, and you're like, okay, so this is clearly something this is not just some random guy's demo because it's shelved here, right? So clearly it is something.
And you don't know.
Look like anything else here.
You by you saying that, you're judging. Clearly, it's got to be someone of prominence. Clearly, it's got to be something. If it's good, that's judging. You don't know. This could just be a random dude.
Context, right? If it's being sold in stores, chances are it comes from an established background. So, at that point, you would assume that this is a choice rather than because some people will just is this a stereotype that some people actually do hand out their CDs on a street corner? I feel like you see that sometimes, and that is different than if you go to a store where it's packaged like that, and you're like, okay, there is a discrepancy here, right, between the environment and the presentation, and that is intriguing. Yes, obviously.
That's you use the word assume. I would argue assume and judgment are cousins. The word assume and judging are cousins. You're assuming this, you're judging.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No?
Right? It depends on how we define judging, right? Because I think sort of preconceived notions and assumptions could be considered judgment. Now, sometimes judgment is also used with the connotation specifically of having a negative opinion of someone, right? Like judging someone, right? If you say you're judging someone, that generally implies that you think negatively of them. I would say, but
I mean,
again, that's you could use it both ways, and that's why I was saying earlier. It depends on how we define it, but yeah, no, I think I don't think I'm very judgmental.
Yeah,
I think it's also because I don't care that much, right? I guess it's also one of those things, right? Where it's a lot easier to not judge other people as much if you just don't care that much about their lives to begin with, right? Some people just care about every stranger's not care in terms of
God, I was about to say you sound like a dick.
No, but
you sound like a dick.
If you just run into someone, someone you don't know, they're I don't give a crap about what you're doing with your life. I don't know you, right? And some people will immediately make your business, their business. It's like, listen, if we're acquainted or like we're friends, sure, right? But like random people.
See that this is what makes
random people.
This is what makes me and you so different. Is I agree. If I don't know you, I really don't care. But I don't. To me, there's no such thing as a stranger to me. I mean, I could literally. Exactly. I could, dude. I mean, I do it. I have friends you can ask that I'll just be out in public. And like if I'm at a bar, you know, and if I'll see somebody that I have no idea who they are and they're over there, they got hey man, what's going on? How's your day going? Oh, it's going good. Just a random conversation. That person might be I'm literally that person. I'll walk, dude. I've had conversations with like people just walking down the street. Oh man, so how's your day going? Oh man. But just that, I look at it like that one little conversation might have just made their day. You know what I mean? I'm very outgoing like that though. You know, like I could talk to a tree and be best friends.
I think there's two worthwhile distinctions we can make here, right? First of all, we have very different personalities, you and I. That's just
very
obvious.
Different.
And also, I think cultural context as well, to a degree. Because I think
True.
Americans are more prone to talking to strangers than Germans. Just like across the board.
Yeah. It's so crazy because they preach the thing to us when we're kids in our heads, don't talk to strangers. But again, it's your personality. Like I don't know, I'm more out there, you know, but at the same time, I do want my space. When it's time, I'm so out there. Sometimes I'm willing to talk to strangers. I'm willing to, you know, talk to, like, literally at my job, I'm doing presentations in front of 60, 70 people on a Zoom call or a Teams call. And I'm the first one. Everybody's like, oh, I don't want, man, let me get up there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Behringer. Today, we're going to be talking about the benefits of this conveyor belting system. Now, this was going to be an interesting, stage fright is not a thing for me. I can easily do it.
I don't have problems with presentations either. I always found it kind of interesting that people had problems with presentations. Like in school, right? It's like almost a stereotype, right? Where people like don't want to do presentations. Like, what is so hard about doing a presentation, right? Like I never got it either. And also I always found in school presentations sometimes like there is an advantage to going first because you're setting the
absolutely
right because
you're setting the bar.
Yeah, because dude, if the first person is really good and you come second, it's like, oh shit. Now I have to follow that.
That's my mentality right there. That's my mentality. It's like, I'm going to set a bar and you have to get better than me. And if you are better than me, now I'm the kind of person where I got to get better than you. That's how I think. Like, here's my bar. Who going to beat it? What's up? Who going to beat it? All right, damn. He had a slot. Dang, did you see that PowerPoint? All right. Then I come in. I bring a freaking dog in that mug. Now today we're going to, you know what I mean? I'm going to one up you, man. I'm going to try my best. That was a good one there, JJ. I like that.
I want to do another one, or do we want to move on to songs of the week?
Just do that, man. My song of the week. Oh, man. One of your hometown heroes is one of my favorite songs by Rammstein. What is the proper way to say Rammstein?
Rammstein.
Rammstein. So a German would say it or Rammstein, right?
Yeah.
Okay. My song of the week is Mutter by Rammstein. Rammstein. You did.
Hometown hero, you say? I don't think they're from anywhere around here.
Or when I say home again, man, I'm from America, dude. I don't know what. I think Germany is Germany.
Fair enough. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, right? Apparently from Berlin.
Oh wow!
It doesn't really make sense. He sounds southern. Okay, the singer's from Leipzig, which makes a little more sense. The thing is, I don't think there's anywhere in Germany where they pronounce the R's the way he does when he's singing. I think it's something that they only do in Austria, which is weird.
Oh, actually, I do think I remember seeing something in the comments section where he spent some of his life in Austria, actually. I think I remember seeing something like that.
That would make sense, because again, like, it just sounds Austrian to me when he's singing. Now, granted, it's perfectly understandable, but the way he realizes the R's, because mine is closer to the French one, right, where it's like R. It's more like the R, the French one. It's not quite as harsh, I would think, but he does the more like almost like the Spanish one, right? The R.
Well, no, Spanish they'd roll it.
Er.
Ar.
Well, there's
R.
two
Or
Spanish.
R, yeah.
There's a tapped and a rolled R in Spanish. There's two
Yes,
different R's.
yes.
But
You-
the
yeah, you're
tapped
right, you're
Spanish
right.
R is, I think, kind of what I would compare this to, or
Yeah,
even like the Russian one, right? Like that's sort of a. The American one, I think, is a little bit further back, but it's also kind of similar. Actually, it's a bit softer, it's a bit further back, but
Yeah, like when you back to the Spanish thing, like with the R in when I go to Mexico, they say bettinger, so that you got betting, that's two R's, so they're rolling those two R's,
Yeah.
but that last minute air bettinger, you know. So I get what you're saying, but no, I want to. You're a Rammstein fan? Do you know this song?
I actually am not a fan. I mean, I don't hate their music or anything. It's just I also don't love it either. It's just like it's fine. And I know I didn't know this song, but I don't know most of their songs.
So you're not rocking with this one?
I mean, again, like it's not bad. It's just not great either. It's just okay for me. It's fine.
You gotta hear that guitar, so that guitar is fire, Mutter. And if you guys don't know, Mutter means mother, right? Mother,
Yes.
Mutter. Okay, gotcha. Mutter.
Mutter. The
Great
vowels
song.
are very different in German as in English. Honestly, vowels, right? Interesting. English is weird with vowels, I would say. Now, you could say German's weird with vowels, but I would argue that German vowels are more consistent with other languages than the English vowels are. So, if you think again, right, Spanish, it would also be more like an U than an ah.
Ah, yeah. Yeah? I mean, hey. I don't speak German, so I can't really, elaborate more on your vowels over there.
Yeah, but
I mean,
again, the U makes an U sound, which is kind of like double O in English.
ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, but it also makes a too sound. Jug. Huh. Don't look, dude. Please, let's get off of it. I do want to, because I'm telling you, dude, we will talk about the English language forever. I saw one. God dang it. See, we just please change the subject, please.
Do we gotta
Please.
bring up the vowel chart?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Shut the fuck up, man.
Front vowels, back vowels, high vowels, low vowels.
Yes.
Open, closed, front to back. I think that's the distinctions. I don't think high low is as much of a distinction. Anyways. We wanted to do songs of the week, and my song of the week is from a little bit further north. It's Tiger by ABBA.
I am behind you. I always find you. I am the tiger. People who fear me never go near me. I am the tiger. Yellow eyes are glowing at me.
Okay. Damn, that actually sounded hard at the end. That is an interesting album cover there.
Yeah, no, I think ABBA's one of those bands for me which has a very consistent sound. But they have a couple songs that are a bit different, and this one is not like super different, but I find this still to be like a little bit different from what I would normally expect an ABBA song to sound like. And I actually kind of appreciate that. It's not, right, not that the typical sound is bad, but it's like, you can only listen to so many songs that sound the same until you're like,
Yeah.
I want something different. And I think this gives a little bit of variety to discography.
Just to throw it in there, yeah, good song, dude. It sounded like it was starting to go towards my alley with the slow, chilled, hippie sound. But I've heard it pronounced ABBA, then I've heard it pronounced ABBA, tomato,
I actually don't know what the canonical Swedish pronunciation would be, but when in doubt, it's probably closer to German than to English.
Yeah.
Just because of the linguistic connections there.
Again, tomato. I know exactly what you're talking about. You say ABBA, you say ABBA, I know exactly what you're talking about. Pronounce it how you want. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyways, that is my song of the week.
Good song, JJ. Great song, man.
Which I guess brings this episode of the Trash Talk podcast to a close. If you, don't forget to check out the Trash Talk, let's say that first. And if you enjoyed this video, then give it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you have something to say, leave a comment below. Hollywood.
JJ, it's your birthday. And I was going to pull some trickery on you today, but I'm just going to keep it light. So, that's it.
That's it.